Okay, I don't remember how many years ago this was. I think I might have been 10 or 11 at the time. I'm 17, be about 6 or 7 years ago. I do remember it was my birthday, September 1st, the end of summer break. It was Labor Day weekend, and every year we go camping for my birthday up at a place called Angus. It's located in Central Oregon. Well, let's just get to it. It was dark out. We had already had my birthday party, and I had opened my presents. I got a blanket that came with a stuffed animal, and I got a laptop. It wasn't an actual laptop. All you could do was play games on it. You couldn't surf the web or anything. It was intended for kids. I was in my tent, well, technically my parents' tent, and I was playing on my new game laptop that I had gotten. I remember that my little wiener dog was laying next to me. My parents and my grandparents were at a campsite a little ways down from ours. They were at my aunt and uncle's campsite drinking and bullshitting, I guess. So they weren't at the campsite that I was at. The only people that were there were my brother, my cousins Dylan and Wyatt, and myself. I know that my cousin Dylan was sleeping because I could hear him snoring, and my brother and other cousin Wyatt were in the tent next to mine talking. All I remember is that I was really concentrating on my game, so what happened next kind of scared me. I heard a thump on the side of my tent. It sounded like someone hitting the tent. At first I figured it was my brother and cousin just fucking with me, so I said, "Haha, you got me, Darren. Now can you leave me alone and go to bed?" After I said that, I heard my brother say, "What the heck are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Wyatt and I have been in the tent the whole time." After he said that, I kind of got an uneasy feeling because I knew he couldn't have gotten back to his tent without me hearing him. Well, somebody just hit my tent, kind of hoping that my brother would at least get up and check. "I doubt it. It was probably just a pine cone," he says in response, which kind of made me mad because he doubted me, so I decided to check it out myself. I put on my boots and jacket, grabbed a lantern and my dog because I felt safer with him for some reason, and went outside to check and see if it was a pine cone or not. Once I got outside, I checked around the tent to see if there was anything that could have possibly fell and hit my tent. I didn't find anything, but what I did find made me scream and caused me to run to my uncle's campsite to get my dad. When I looked behind the tent into the bushes, I didn't see anything at first until my dog started barking. That's when I saw a face of a man with long, greasy hair and a beard. It scared the living shit out of me. I literally almost couldn't run because my legs got so weak and I almost fell on my face on the way down to the campsite. After I informed my dad about what I just saw, him and everybody else went up to the campsite to find the guy. When we got back up there, my cousins and brother were out of their tents with concerned looks on their faces, probably wondering why I was screaming. After everybody searched around the whole campsite, my dad then asked if I was sure about what I saw. My brother piped in and said that after he heard me scream and run off, that he heard the bushes behind the tent rustle, and then he heard footsteps running into the woods. Whoever that was, he scared the shit out of me. I don't think I've ever ran that fast in my entire life. Thank God the guy didn't run after me. Well, I guess he'd be stupid if he tried. My dad would have been on his ass in an instant. I've been going through these stories for a while and decided to make an account to share my own. I had stayed at the same campground with my family for Labor Day for years and had always been a family-friendly place, and I never really experienced anything particularly off about it until one night. This one year, I believe I was about 11 or 12 years old, so I had a significant amount of preteen anguish. The campground pool closed around 8 p.m., so me and my family friends whom we had camped with decided to see what it was like around closing hours. You had to be accompanied by someone 13 or older, and that year our friend had just turned 13, so it was the perfect plan. We got down there and it was already dark, but none of us were creeped out as it was a place we'd spent most of our childhood. An hour or so went by, and we noticed that there was a hooded male, presumably in his late teens, sitting in a pool chair by the exit. At first we thought nothing of it. It was just a kid, relaxing by the pool late at night, just like us. About a half an hour later of us playing around, we noticed that he hadn't moved, and shared glances of uneasiness while silently deciding to head to the bathroom. We went to the girls' bathroom, and he was obviously not a girl, so we felt safe. The bathrooms are connected to the campground store, so we made our way up the stairs and went out through there instead of having to make our way past this hooded stranger. As we neared the store's exit, we saw one thing that turned our faces white and stopped us dead in our tracks. The same man had taken the stairs by the pool and was now leaning against the fence near the exit of the store. We tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just got bored and wanted to stand there. Now that I think of it, 6 years later, that was so stupid to assume. But we were trying to calm ourselves down at that point. We calmly left the store and walked by him to get back to our campsite, acting as if we weren't suspicious of him at all. Then, when we were about 30 feet away from where he was leaning, I took a quick look behind our group just to make sure he was still there. It was a good thing I did, because he wasn't in the same spot. Rather, he was walking directly behind us. We decided keeping our calm demeanor was out of the question, and I just yelled, "Run!" My friends and I made it back to our campsite, obviously flustered, and our parents asked what happened. We explained the whole thing, and they had told us to go to bed, that they would look for him in the morning. We had trouble sleeping that night, and the next day, the man was never found by our parents. We slowly forgotten about the experience and gained back our comfort with the campground over the years. But we never went back to the pool after hours. That was one man we never wanted to encounter again. This happened in 2003. I was 8 years old at the time, but I remember most of what happened due to the fact that what happened was crazy. I'm also not a writer, so I hope what I write here is coherent enough for you people to understand what happened. It was Labor Day, and we went camping to this place in Virginia. My dad invited his friend and his friend's wife. These people are the grandparents of my best friend. I was like most kids who couldn't appreciate nature. Now I'm 21, and I still don't get it. There was an arcade/bathroom station in the campground, and I would bike there to play games all day. It was about a 10-second bike ride from our tent, so my dad let me go by myself. The path to the arcade was a gravelly type of hill, you know, the ones with a lot of small rocks. So I try to go up the hill, and my back tire loses friction, and I lose control of the bike, and the bike fishtails to the right. I panic because I'm only 8 and I have no bike skills, and I end up crashing into a white van. The right bumper had a huge black scuff mark on it. I don't see the owner of the car anywhere, so I pick up my bike and get the heck out of there. We were only at the campground for about 3 days. I don't remember which day I hit the car, but I know it wasn't the last day. Because this is what happened on the last day that we were there. We were packing up the stuff in our car to go home. I didn't help at all because I was in the car drawing with my new Crayola Twistables. I remember that they were Twistables, and I know exactly what I was drawing. It was a butterfly, because earlier that week in school they had taught us how to draw them. You make a snowman, and then you put 2 3s on both sides of the snowman, and there's your butterfly. I'm drawing the butterfly when all of a sudden I hear the loudest noise of all time. Sounded like a firecracker blew up right behind us. I get out of the car and I'm running towards the sound when I see my dad's best friend running full sprint with a bloody stump of a foot towards me. The foot is still attached to his tibia, but it was dangling. He lies down on the picnic table. There is a lot of blood, and blood is everywhere. It was dark red and thick like syrup and had a lot of bubbles. At this point, there's a circle of people surrounding my dad's friend. I hear a crack, and I look to my left, and I see this huge guy with glasses. He cracks his gun in half, and 2 slugs or bullets fly out. He turns around and walks towards, you guessed it, the white van. He walks right by the black scuff mark, pulls open the door. The only thing I could see were boxes and boxes of ammunition. He grabs a box, pulls out 2 more slugs or bullets, and he reloads his gun and just stares at everyone. It's pretty selfish, but the only thing I could think of was, God, I hope this isn't my fault. I crashed my bike into this guy's car, and now he has shot our friend. It seems like I started this. I remember the guy yelling to everybody, "Don't you ever ask me where I'm from!" I don't know if that makes sense to any of you, but it doesn't make sense to me. My dad makes a full-on sprint towards the guy, and my mom had to yell at him, "He has a gun!" before my dad snapped back into his senses. My dad stopped and stared at the shooter, and the shooter stared back at him. My dad takes off his shirt and goes to his friend. He puts the shirt around his friend's foot. I don't think my dad knew what he was doing. I remember everyone is retching and gagging because of the smell, but nobody's really moving. We all are waiting for something to happen. That's where my memory ends. There were 2 off-duty cops who saw the whole thing and subdued the perp. My dad's friend ended up losing his foot and got a bunch of money from the guy, I think. The guy ended up being declared insane. I do remember seeing him in the cop car, and the car was rocking back and forth. I'm pretty sure the guy that shot my dad's friend shot him for no reason. But just maybe, it was also because I crashed my bike into the bumper of his white van.